Clairvoyance, the Life Spiritual Show. Comes out Mondays, 8 p.m. EU. So hope you guys are well. And tonight we're just focusing on YouTube. There's a good reason for this. We'll be explaining this a bit later on. But yes, I hope you guys are well out there, and I hope you guys are having a terrific day. Now, tonight I've got an exceptionally special guest. His name is Mr. Craig A. Hoy, and very interesting guy, to say the very least. And he's actually going to be coming through talking about, get ready for this, he's a quantum catalyst. Quantum catalyst. What does this mean, I hear you say? What's it all about? Well, we're soon going to find out. And as we join in the show tonight, we'll be talking all about this, having a good chat. And if you guys want to share some comments there, just let us know. But in the meantime, though, let's do a little bit of this. Okay, so tonight's guest, very special guest, a quantum catalyst. This is going to be interesting. It's coming all the way in from Queensland, Australia. And I must admit, we've been watching Craig's posts, his stories, and what he gets up to. It's absolutely fascinating. Man of mystery. Sounds like where we go with this, but definitely a man who works in nature, loves his life in nature. And what better vibration could we be in than to work in something like this? So I'm sure we're gonna really enjoy this. So as we're coming in on YouTube, please add in your comments. You'll notice there you can still do this on YouTube, even though we're used to on Facebook. You guys there would have seen the comments to it there. So please come in there. Right, that's it. So there we go. We've even got Craig coming in. Just saying, fantastic. That is nice to know. Anyway, so apart from that, how has your week been? Well, we're coming out of a very unusual time and going into more unusual times. Everything's unusual. And how do we adapt to this? How do we make our lives even better than what they've been? Well, we're going to be discussing this. We're also going to be discussing about well-being. We're also going to be discussing about you guys, questions you guys may have, and how we can help our lives in this particular year to get on even better. So without further ado, I think I'll go and find out here a few details about him. But just as we do so, though, I got a happy birthday to do. Another happy birthday to a very lovely lady called Jackie Sproston. Jackie Sproston, if you're listening out there, then this is for you.
Happy birthday!
There you go. There you go. And also that you guys coming in, just saying, lovely birthday. Thank you so much, guys, for coming in. Love to see you. Now, let's go and find out what is going on here, where he is. And I know he's out there somewhere, so we're going to go and find him. And he's probably out in nature somewhere, and he's probably because, believe it or not, he's coming from the other side of the world. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. Yes, 5 o'clock in the morning. So for over there for him, it's a bit like this. Yeah, the old cockerels are waking up. They're just getting up over there. That's it's a cockerel from down there. And in fact, here he is. Yep, there he is. He's just coming in. So any moment now, we're gonna hear the doorbell go, and away we go. Oh, you must be exhausted all that running around. Anyway, without further ado, I think it's time to welcome in the wonderful Craig A. Hoy. Hello and good morning. Good morning to you down there. Good evening from us. How are you?
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good evening, good evening, good evening. I'm very well, thank you.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, for a guy from 5 o'clock in the morning, you look so well. You really do. You look like you've been up for hours.
Oh, I have been this year.
Good. So, Craig, tell us a bit about where are you from?
Where am I from? I'm from my mummy's tummy. No.
Here we go. That is quite a good one. Yeah, that's quite a good one. Yes, sorry, one button there. That was that one. Yeah, I like that one. I like that one. That was good.
I'm tuning in from North Queensland. So Queensland's the pointy part of Australia on the eastern coast.
Okay.
And I'm up towards the top of the pointy bit. So Cairns is the city that I live in.
Okay. That sounds fantastic.
Rainforest,
Wow.
mountains, freshwater rainforest creeks that flow all year round, Great Barrier Reef, coconut palm beaches, all of that jazz.
Oh, wow.
That's where we're tuning in from.
I know, they're all saying wow out here. They're all saying wow. Yes, it sounds absolutely beautiful. I must admit, I came from England and came down to Spain, and I love looking out to the Mediterranean. It's rich amethyst blues and the lovely mountains and the scenery. And yet, you tell me about this, and it's like, for some people, it's everybody's dream. Imagine for other people, it's like, oh, crikey, don't know if I could do there'd be worries about like the spiders and the snakes and crocodiles, things like this. And I was just talking about you earlier, but we had a really good answer for this. Really good evening. Oh, very good evening, Paul. Paul comes through and says good evening. Lovely to see you, sir. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, so we had a lovely thought about this, that if you go out there and you experience something here, and you go out there respecting nature for all it is, and you have a confidence within yourself that you could enter the territory where spiders, snakes, and everything are, is that what you do? Is that how you handle it?
It's not like they're under every rock. I mean, they could be, but it doesn't mean you necessarily go looking for them.
Okay.
I in my backyard for a long time I had chickens,
Okay.
and there's a species of snake that are found very locally, and sometimes very, 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 very locally, as in like in the backyard.
Right.
The biggest one that I've relocated from my place has been over 4 meters long.
That's big.
Yeah, it is relatively large. An Amosthene python, they're called. They're beautiful, beautiful creatures. But you know what? Ultimately, when they're disturbed, they just want to be safe somewhere. So I just developed a bit of a technique to offer them an opportunity to hide somewhere that's very easy to relocate.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Because I've actually touched snakes, and they are quite. You'd think they're quite um, dry, but it's not. It's quite. Some of them are quite waxy, aren't they?
Yeah, they're quite a waxy sort of a texture, but they can be really really strong.
Oh yeah.
I've yeah,
Oh yeah.
a big snake like that could do all sorts of interesting things to all sorts of interesting things.
Yes,
But
it sort of
yeah,
upset your day a
it's
little bit, couldn't it? Yes. Yes.
it's the
Yeah.
same as everything though. As you were saying, it's all about mindset. So yeah.
Oh,
Hello,
lovely.
Jocelyn.
Right,
Hello,
we've got
Eleni.
loads of people coming in. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. I'm glad you found everything okay on YouTube. Ellie says hello. Jocelyn says, hi, Phil, Craig, and everyone. Glad to see you here. And Helen says, good evening. She says, good evening. Good evening from here, and good morning to you there. Yes. So we're out there, and Paul's joined us as well. Now, the guy who I think would be really interested in the way your life goes is this guy here, Paul. He's very much a Bear Gillis, or Action Man himself. I think he'd be quite interested in what you get up to out there. Now, but it sounds absolutely fascinating. It sounds a beautiful part of the world, and to live in a life like that, I think is a gift. It's a wonderful opportunity. One opportunity to share something like that, I think is beautiful, and it's great to have you on the show. And I just think that. Yeah, he's laughing his head off, says Paul. Yeah, really. He says, I'm going nowhere near them. Probably. But, and to talk to you about what your work is, it was just so calming to talk to you. And I just went, this is like my soul is being bathed in a spiritual dream. It's lovely. It was absolutely beautiful. And just to talk to you about what we're doing. And a lot of it, I think, is the belief systems or the beliefs that we have is, I would absolutely agree with them, but your ones actually go even deeper. And I think it's absolutely lovely. So,
It's even from the
Helen's.
very beginning there, though, Phil. Like when you say the work that I do, the language that we actually use holds vibration,
Mm-hmm.
and the vibration comes from the meaning of the words and how we associate with the words.
Okay.
So, for example, if we actually just reset for a moment, just take a moment and just notice how these words feel, and I'm just going to say a
Mm.
couple of words.
Yes.
Work.
I don't work. Actually, I don't work. No, I don't work. I don't work at all.
But see, when we hear these words, we actually have an association.
Mm-hmm.
Work, effort, um,
Chore.
drudgery,
Yeah.
whatever else might come up in people's programming.
Yeah.
So what I often do is I don't actually necessarily talk about work. I prefer to say words like, well, what I'm exploring, what I play with, what I guide people through, what I explore, is what we're curious about, what we investigate, they're all words that have very different vibrations.
It's a lovely
So
vibration.
we could play or we could work.
Yes.
What do we choose? Most people choose play.
Feeling super calm
It just
already.
feels nicer.
Yes. It's lovely because I'm always surrounded by people, and especially people from different parts of the world. We all say work, job. We all say
Mm.
chore. We all say responsibilities. Yeah, okay, we all got responsibilities, but this is nice though, just to say this. And I think that even my wife asked me the other day. She said, "When we retire, we're going to do this, this, this," and I'd say, "No, I'm never going to retire. I never retire because I enjoy what I'm doing." She said, "Well, don't you ever want to stop doing the work you do?" And I said, "No, no, it's lovely. I absolutely love it." There's a few people here on the show watching who probably do the same thing. Just also to come back to this, Helen said that she stayed in an old mining town called Gladstone. Is that near you?
Gladstone, it's kind of just down the road a little bit,
Okay.
about 9 hours drive.
Yeah. No. That's about a tiny bit on the Australian map, isn't it? There's a tiny little fraction where you look at
Yeah,
that. Oh yeah, that's easy. That's
yeah.
10 minutes. No, 9 hours away. Oh, fantastic. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, okay. Right, so we go. And Josie says, I agree with you. I agree with you. We don't have to. Yes, maybe that's an interesting there. So, okay, right. So you're in exploring the world and how you work with your life. You're a quantum catalyst. You explain yourself as a quantum catalyst. Can you tell us a little bit about this? What this all means?
It comes from the notion that when we ask people, what do you do or what are you, that egoic nature of identity can, at some instances, it can be liberating, it can be
Yeah.
empowering, it can be easy for other people to interpret how to treat us based on their assumptions of who we are and what we are. And yet at the same time, I also don't like necessarily to define what it is that I do, because at the same time that I define what I do, then I also, in the definition, is also a limit.
Yes.
And in the nature of what I play with and explore with people, I don't necessarily want to limit what I am and what I can be. So I like to keep it as open as possible.
That is a
If,
big
for
thing.
example, and we mentioned this earlier, would
Yeah.
you, if you had a plumbing problem, would you get an electrician to fix it?
No, you wouldn't because you
So
would.
if I said, oh, I'm a high school teacher, well, then is a high school teacher allowed to be an energy healer or an intuitive guide or a shaman or anything else? And most people's minds, the answer is no.
That's
They
right.
might like to say yes, but they probably won't.
Yes.
As far as quantum catalyst, the word quantum to me is all around that bridge between science the way the universe works, the way we work, energy, matter, thought, emotion, feelings. It sums up everything, and it's the bridge between everything. Spirituality, it's literally the bridge that joins everything. And as far as the word catalyst goes, we all have an effect and an impact on everything that we do, whether we realize it or not, whether we know it or not, whether we like the impact or not, whether it's desirable or not.
Okay.
And so in adding a consciousness to that and understanding that we have the potential to help people and to be a catalyst to help people, then that's where that actual word for me is probably the closest that I've discovered that I enjoy using or that feels liberating and freeing. And it it's quite common for me to be on a client session and whole new processes drop through,
Yeah.
intuitively, and whole new meditations that are exactly what that particular client needs. If I'm as beautiful and as empowering as modalities can be, for example.
Yep.
So if people are interested in energy healing or learning to be an energy healer, then Reiki is a great place to start, because it starts to actually introduce to people the concept of energy healing, but because of its systematic nature, it's easy to learn as well. If we were to
Yeah.
drop in and say to people, you know what, you're a limitless being, and you can just be open and help people in any infinite numbers of possibilities, for most people, they can't actually start to actually access that. They don't know how to unpack that or be that or move like that or be or live like
Mm.
that. And so,
I think
quantum catalyst is kind of the closest that I've come up with so far.
I think it's so nice actually. Super, super calm listening to you and interviewing you. Midia she says that catalyst suits your energy. Isn't that nice? I think it's a
Oh,
nice,
yeah.
and it's a great word. Rather than your who you are, it suits your energy. And it's interesting actually. You are right. When we try to say who we are, what we do, instantly the conscious puts us straight, tries to put us into a box to try and understand what we are. This is a lot of problem I find with people out there, that if they don't understand what you do or they can't grab it, they do one or two things. They're either very intrigued or they don't like it. They don't like it one
Mm,
little bit. But the people who don't like it are the ones who have, I feel, have fear and insecurity of their own selves. I think it's extraordinary to meet people who say, I don't wish to have a title. It's a bit like Prince. He removed his title, Prince the musician. He said, "I'm no longer Prince. He be used as symbol in many respects." And I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to do that, and to be able to say, as much as I work as a medium, I also work in hypnosis. I also work as in some respects, I just call myself a therapist because I work in many areas. And but
mm,
it's so interesting, but it's easy. And even my brother said to me yesterday when I sent him an email, and normally I take off the addressed stuff at the bottom. I forgot to do it on this one, but it had all the things I do, all the things I work in, so could people know what I do. And he said, "How on earth do you fit that in on a business card?" And I said to him, "But I don't. I just use my name. And then the rest of it, people explore. But when they need to see it, they understand what I do. But then that
mm,
doesn't fit the title. It just fits in like therapy, whatever you want to call it. Life therapy.
mm,
Yes. And I think it's a beautiful thing. So, and we were having a discussion this, and I asked people this afterwards, and it really got something going. And actually, Mila will agree with me on this. When I said to the group on Clubhouse this morning, I said to you, the discussion that we had is, what is it that you want? And
mm,
that simple words stumps everybody. It stumped everybody. It's like, oh, because we all know what we don't want, but then we talk about what we don't want. The
mhm,
point we don't want, we attract it.
mhm.
So
And that's really fascinating, in that, especially in this era, in this time, and with everything that's going on the planet. What's omnipresent for a lot of people is a lot of things that they don't like.
yes, yes,
And so we can get distracted, and to the point where, when I say distracted, it's like we're never actually taught how to focus on what it is that we actually want. So for me personally, for example, what I've been doing for the past 6 weeks relatively intensively is coming back to my core essence. What is it that I would like my life to be full of,
yeah,
and focusing there. When everything's being pulled apart, that can be a disaster, or it can be an amazing opportunity for us to literally say, well, if I'm going to rebuild, what are the building blocks? What are the bricks? What's the mortar that's going to join it all together? And so, as an example, it's things like, well, what sorts of things do I really value? It's things like, well, fascination, awe, wonder, love, the flavors of love, what I call the flavors of love, everything on the Hawkins scale of consciousness that's above neutrality,
oh, that's
calm,
beautiful.
peace,
That's
orgasmic, um, Tao, spirituality, wonder, fascination, bliss, love, romance, um, connection, communication, clarity. Who thinks about clarity? Clarity as a core value, as a core issue. You know, I call all of that in. I feel all of that. I play with all of that. This is what I value. And the more that I fill my life and I can scan for what I want. We played this game earlier. Can we? You want to play it again now?
yeah, yeah. Let's go for it.
So here's an example. Whatever we focus on, this is the thing. It's a lot of these quantum understandings and facts now just aren't necessarily mainstream. What we focus on, like the late great Dr. Wayne Dwyer, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. It's just known from a quantum physics perspective that whatever we focus on, we energize.
It becomes real.
Whatever we think about, we energize. We're electromagnetic beings. The things we think about, we actually charge with electricity
Yes,
as electrical impulses run through the brain. We're literally energizing what we think about. It's also known the magnetic part is actually emotions. Our emotions are literally magnetic. They attract themselves and they repel their opposite. You've probably noticed, when you've been in a really sad mood, for example, and a happy song comes on, you'll go, oh no, change that song, because it doesn't match that vibration. But then a sad song comes on and goes, oh that's better. Yeah, that matches. But here's an example, right? We played this game earlier. What we focus on, we get. And so we played this game earlier, Phil.
yes. I know
And
I'm playing trap again.
here's how the game goes. We're ready?
Yep.
Don't see red, don't see red, don't see red, don't see red. And as much as I said don't, the one thing that we focused on was red.
Yes.
We saw it, even though we were told not to. So here's the opposite, right? Here's the opposite. See all the infinite rich colours of the rainbow, see all the infinite rich colours of the rainbow, see all the infinite rich colours of the rainbow.
I love that one. I love that one.
But see, notice then what happens is, when we do that, all these subtle variations and all these, like we might see brown, but then we've actually noticed like hundreds of variations of brown. And everything just starts to become rich. Everything gets depth. We notice the abundance of all sorts of possibilities around us.
And it's
So what
very
do we focus on?
yeah, it's very interesting when you say the verb don't. We have that verb said to us on a daily status
Hmm.
because don't speed, don't do this, don't do that. They didn't say this, they didn't say that. It's a verb we use or as parents use to children, even at a very young age. Don't see red, don't see red. You're alerted to, oh my God, don't is that verb again. And was automatically it gets you into focus on it, but really you don't want to see it. But because don't was there, it attracts you to look at it.
And it sets up this weird duality as well. And we wonder why we walk around the world in a stupor or confused.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're saying don't and focus on this thing all at the same time.
They're two different.
Don't do this thing that what I want you to focus on. Don't speed. Oh, okay, so I'm focusing on speeding and I'm not supposed to do it and I'm supposed to feel bad and I'm supposed to be worried and anxious about whether I am or am not. So instead, people could say, drive at a beautiful, safe pace. Drive at a beautiful, safe pace. Drive at a beautiful, safe pace. But we say, we don't actually put the intention into what we want to see.
And that's interesting because you're, yes, that's right, because you're then distracted from what you're doing to go and do something else. And it's not a particularly nice experience. So therefore your focus is taken off the whole driving experience of being nice. Midia says
Yeah.
there is. Just it's up here. Midia is absolutely fabulous. She's been on the show before. She was on the last time we were on. We did a show together, and it's lovely energy, beautiful. Midia says there's a fine line through between energizing the positive and ignoring or shoving less positive emotions under the rag, especially in the beginning of our awakening. What is your take on this?
There's a phrase that comes up, and it's called toxic positivity.
I've heard of that.
Toxic positivity. Because here's the thing, right? Is we are what we are.
Yeah.
There's a whole leaning, especially within the world of personal development and light workers, that everything needs to be light. The reality is that we are what we are. As soon as we set up a duality, so right, wrong, good, bad, we actually set up a duality within ourselves where we're actually prone to self-judgment. And at the same time, my personal philosophy, the way I try to live, is that all emotions are welcome. All emotions are welcome.
And a lot of
And
people
this is
are going,
why.
this is
The reason why is that what I talk about is that all emotions are just messages. They're just messengers. They're just signposts back to what I call a flavor of love. And flavors of love for me are like calm, peace, bliss, of course, romantic love as well. But if I dangle the carrot out in front of you that is love, like, everything's love, everything's love. Well, what if your core wounding is actually around romantic love? And the carrot that I dangle for you is actually, come on, just come back to love. Just focus on love. Excuse the French. Stuff love. Screw love. There's nothing to live for if that's the only carrot that I have to dangle for you. But if I start to talk about the flavors of love, and when I say flavors of love, I talk about everything on the Hawkins scale of consciousness. If you haven't heard of that, it's well worth looking up.
yes.
Dr. Hawkins was a scientist who literally just mapped out the vibrational frequency of emotions. They're all available. So on the Hawkins scale of consciousness, it's just everything above neutral. Calm, peace, bliss, fun, joy. We can all relate to an aspect of that somehow, somewhere.
That's absolutely beautiful.
So here's the thing, right? Any emotions, though, that are below neutral are just signposts back to that. Oh, I'm feeling sad today. Oh, okay, cool, interesting. Sadness is coming up. If I just try and actually say, come on, just switch up, get happy, put on a happy song, don't listen to the sadness, then what I'm doing is I'm shooting the messenger. I'm judging myself for actually having a dense emotion that's difficult to sit with. I'm not practicing sitting with the message, and I'm not receiving the message. Cool, isn't that interesting? What? Oh, I'd love to know. And notice the curiosity. Because if I say, oh, Craig, you idiot, here you are, sad again. Ugh, dopey, dumb, here you are. Why are you always sad? What a loser. So what I'm doing then is I'm actually sending myself deeper down the scale, because what I just did was I just put shame and guilt on top of the fact that I was feeling an
Absolutely.
emotion.
Absolutely. You made it heavier.
Boom, down we go.
Yes.
In exactly the same way that we can say, oh, I feel really calm. Oh, I love feeling calm. Feeling calm is so beautiful. I just took calm and I went up to gratitude and appreciation, which is a form of love. I just raised that vibration. So we actually often do the opposite as well when we start to feel dense emotion. I'm worried. Oh, what are you worried about? God, you're an idiot. You know, well, just be brave or courageous. Why you got to be worried? So now I'm attacking myself, and I'm getting anxious and about being anxious, and I'm starting to be judgmental, and I'm starting to feel guilt and fear. I'm lowering my vibration even further by not listening to the message with joyous curiosity.
Now that's what we were talking about earlier. We were talking about joyous
Yeah.
curiosity.
So,
I love the energy of this.
and
Yeah.
and notice how this works. As soon as I become curious, I become open to possibilities.
Mm.
Oh, okay, cool. So sadness has come up. That's interesting. Thank you for showing me. Thank you for showing me that I'm curious. Thank you for showing me that sadness is present. I'd really I'd love to know more about that. I'd love to explore that. Because
That's
here's another thing, right?
yeah.
Is that when this stuff comes up, and we talked about this yesterday, when this stuff comes up within our Western society, we're also programmed that if we can't think our way out of a perceived problem, we add to the problem by then labeling ourselves stupid or dumb.
Yes, we got rid of ourselves. Right.
Yeah. And it's counterproductive, because the reality is, and this is part of what I play with people, is that when we actually enter contraction, so any emotion below neutral on the Hawkins scale of consciousness starts to trigger fight, flight, freeze, fawn,
Those are some of the
and blood.
yes.
Yeah,
Mm.
blood comes from the frontal cortex.
Yes.
Blood comes from the central nervous system, the chakra system, if you're into the chakra system, and it goes to the peripherals so that we can fight, flight, freeze faster, instantly.
Yes.
And here's the interesting thing, though: the part of the brain that's responsible for emotional regulation and for problem solving is the one part of the brain we can't access.
Yeah. Subconscious. Yes.
However, if we actually come in with joyous curiosity, we drop into theta brain patterns and we become open to possibilities.
Yes. Yeah.
Not only that, from a spiritual and quantum perspective, we're also inviting in things bigger than ourselves: the universe, the infinite field, your guides, your angels, infinite intelligences, your spirit guides, your passed over relatives, your cards, your whatever you want to call in as guidance, the universe, pure source, however you want to talk about it, however you want to actually let it out and connect to it.
For a lot of
So
people,
when
I
I'm saying things like, "Oh, I'm sad," first step, observe. Oh, interesting. You're sad. Yeah, cool. Why is that? Why? I'd love to know a bit more about that sadness. Well, I'm sad because I was really looking forward to doing that thing, or I was really looking forward to hugging that beautiful, special person, and they're not present. Oh, well, that is sad. Yeah, that's understandable. Boom. I can relate to it. I can accept it. I can see it. I'm not contracting. I can see it. I'm accepting it. Thank you, sadness, for showing me what you actually want. Well, now I'm curious. What would have been actually so good about hugging that special person? Well, I love hugs. And I love hugs from people that love giving hugs. And I love hugs from people that love giving me hugs and showing me how much they love me and reminding me how lovable I am.
Yeah.
And I love giving hugs in return because I love them as well. So
Hugs are fantastic.
I love I love hugs.
Me too.
I
It's
love I love loving hugs. And
yeah.
no wonder I was sad. No wonder I was sad. I can see that.
Yeah.
Well, what can I do for myself right now? What is it, sadness? What can I do for you right now so that you feel seen and heard? And well, how about a hug? Well, and if this isn't enough, well, then how can I hug myself in a different way? Well, what if I have like some nourishing food? What if I have an experience that I enjoy? What if I go somewhere else that feels like a warm hug? Like, what if I go to the beach and just sit on the warm sand? What if I what if I just do something beautiful for myself? What if I sit and meditate? What if I actually just tune into the vibration of warm, beautiful, loving hugs? Oh, yeah, I remember what that feels like.
Lovely. There's such a romantic side to your way of explaining things that is a beautiful energy. We're just going to quickly do this, guys, and then we're going to be straight back. Very good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. As some of you who just joined us, this is my special guest this evening, Mr. Craig A. Hoy. What a beautiful evening. There's a romanticism in the way that, but there's I wouldn't say a just romanticism. There's a beautiful existence in the romanticism that put this across, and it's real. And one of the things that I really like about this is one thing that came to me is when we talk about hugs and that you were looking forward to giving a hug to a special person, and that person isn't there for whatever reason, and then we're talking about, oh yes, it's because I like to be hugged and I like to give hugs, things like this. But also, this is interesting here because sometimes at that moment in time, sometimes things don't happen, and yet, but for whatever reason, whether it's a hug, whether it's a job, whether it's something like this, wherever it is, and sometimes that thing doesn't happen there and then. I think for our existence to measure this is to not beat ourselves up in that present time, because we put all the influence on that moment. Like, this is the world, this is life. It's like this moment becomes all of life, and it's not. It's just a passing moment. It's a passing moment, and I love it, of curiosity. I think that's a beautiful thing, a passing moment of curiosity, be able to move
Exactly.
across that. Yes.
You're talking about those expectations and attachments to outcomes.
Yes.
And again, then when that doesn't happen, then we beat ourselves up or we feel a lack.
Yeah.
And in this era of modern Western society, we're trained to be gratiated instantly.
Yes.
And if that is absent, if what we want is absent and it's not present exactly when we want it, then we go and look for that externally. We go on, we jump on our phone, we jump on social media, we eat food, some of the things that I was talking about, but from a distraction perspective and not sitting with that sense of disappointment for a moment and just accepting.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, it's absent, and I was really looking forward to it.
Yes. Oh, yes. Now, Bidya's got this spot on. I love this. And I think myself, my wife, and even my dogs would enjoy this. She said, Bidya says, and it's also completely okay to spend a day under the duvet moaning and feeling shit about the missed hug. There's also being present a part of this that are mourns in a way for something. I've got to give you this. I've got to give you this. That is outstanding. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And it is okay to feel like that. It is. And just know it's a passing thing, and that other things will come along your journey, which you could be curious about. I think curious is great. Yeah, great word.
And what Midi is talking about is the acceptance.
Yes.
The acceptance of that aspect of humanity that we have emotional responses.
Yes.
Because if we wrong our emotional state, as Media was talking about earlier, if we try to bypass them, what happens is that those emotions get embedded within our tissues. And they become blocks within the chakra system. They become
Oh, yeah.
remembrances within the vagus nervous system.
Yeah.
And they don't actually get released. They stay there.
Yes.
It's like your mail arrives and you don't like opening bills, so they just sit there and pile up. You know? And it's not like the bills go away. The bills don't go away, they just pile up. And in fact, they actually get worse because then there's a pile of them that you feel even worse about.
Yep.
So instead of facing the emotion, instead of listening and receiving, opening the bill, opening the letter, or this could be bad news, but I'm going to open it anyway. Yep, okay, cool. We get to actually see it. We get to hear it, and it doesn't build. It gets to be expressed and experienced. Because here we go, right? It's as soon as we can feel it and experience it, we also get to the point where we get to check in and say, you know what? Have you had enough of being under the duvet yet? Have you had enough of this sadness yet? You know what? I have. I have had enough of this, and this isn't what I want my life to be, and now I can make a choice. Now I can decide on a direction. I've heard you. Is that enough sadness? Have you had enough? Have you had enough? No. Okay, cool. Back under the duvet you go for a while.
I
And
like.
we get to be the judge.
I
We get
really
to be the
enjoy that.
judge.
Yes, feeling crap, and as she says here, saying that feeling shit, as she says here, I think is a beautiful thing to have. I think it's fantastic
It
to go
can
and
be.
have that and just feel it. And even if you're grumpy, just grump around a bit, just accept it, just understand it. At some point or another, you'll go, right, I feel better now.
And that's it. We also get to tune in though, because here's the thing. The measure is that all emotions are welcome, but we can get to the point where it starts to impact on our functionality and our livability.
Mm-hmm.
We even talked about this. This is a slight detour, Phil, but we
Yes.
talked about this yesterday where it's embedded within our language, for example, that, well, I don't have time to be sad because I need to go and earn a living.
Oh,
I need to go and earn a living. Like, this is a whole new tangent, but it's still really heavily embedded within our society.
the
Because
yes.
this concept of I need to validate my existence somehow in particular in return for a financial uh, energy exchange. Do I, though, need to earn a living, or am I just alive? Was I just born? Did I need to validate the second that I existed? The second that I came into this world, did I need to prove that I existed for a good reason? Or can I just live? And we were playing with that yesterday,
Yes.
Do I need to earn a living, or am I allowed to live a living? And this is where it comes into those emotions, because feeling emotions is a part of living a living.
And if you feel the emotions, you're feeling your true self. We're
And
often
it's the
not
acceptance of our
alive.
humanity. Yeah.
Yes, and people saying here, oh, I have to go and earn a living. Great, be passive aggressive, but you're also self sabotaging your own self.
Are you in a victim mode? Are
Yes,
you in a victim mode, or are you? And I loved earlier on how you rephrased and you looked for a new word. And I do this a lot, and I encourage people to do this, and I model them and I mentor them on doing this, where a word might come through and we start to realize that the language that we're using is not empowering what we want. So we
yeah,
get to play and we get to look for another word.
yes,
Okay, so I was going to say work. I need to go to work. Oh, I don't like that word.
no,
Or that word. Oh, what's a different word that I could use? And again, I'm inviting my intuition. I'm inviting guidance to actually even drop new words in that I don't even use myself.
yeah.
Work, explore, play.
Be
And you
happy.
were talking about this earlier.
Yes,
Why do I need to retire? If I love what I do,
no, I've
then
got,
I'm living my living.
yes,
I'm living my living. I'm loving my living, and I'm living my love.
yes.
Do I need to retire from something that I'm loving? and that I'm living, and that it's not a drain on me.
No.
You know, one of the things that energy healers experience in early on in their energy healing careers is that they don't understand how to maintain their own energy levels. So, you know, they might be doing all sorts of amazing things for people, and then the next day they feel like they got hit by a truck
Yep.
because they don't realize they've given away their life force. They've
Yes.
actually like gifted and projected their life force as opposed to pulling energy in that's
Absolutely.
bigger
Absolutely
than,
supposed to. Yes.
and
This
then
is the
just,
big thing. There's a
if I
whole.
top up my energy level, so I'm operating at 110% of energy, I am the channel, the energy channel. I'm just pulling it in and directing it. It's not mine. I'm not giving you
No.
my energy. I might be on my feet. I might have been, you know, mentally active all day, so I feel tired at the end of the day, but I haven't drained my life force.
No.
So it's a lot like this. We inadvertently, throughout our day, through the language that we use, through our sense of contraction around obligation and responsibility, and yeah, fine, I'll go and do that thing and I'll help you with that thing, and I love doing that thing for you, but you know, I am always doing this thing for you, and no one appreciates me, and blah, and I'm drudgery and work, and this is work, and this is hard, and life is shit, and this is blah 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 stuff.
It's yes. Oh, that sound. Sound. I'm trying to. Yes, there's a sound here that goes just with that. I'm just looking for it. It's. Oh, it's. I'm actually. I can't find it on my system in the mirror, but I find it. But it's basically it just throws everything everywhere, and yes, it's. Oh, it's. There. Here it is. It goes like this. It's a nice one, this.
They kind
It goes on for about 5 minutes, but I love
of
that.
says a lot for it.
That says a
Kind of
lot for
says a
it.
lot,
That's
really.
when life goes like that. But isn't it funny though? Because that is calamity, as it says here. Life goes into calamity. It's like that. Now, I was interested. I was actually talking to an author in the UK. He's really is getting out there and he's doing his stuff. He's in his early days. He said he stood up in a library in Dunstable in the UK, and he said, "What makes a good book?" And a lot of people said, "Oh, there's got to be a love thing in it." So people said love. Then there's got to be a disaster. Then there's got to be something else. Then there's got to be a hero and a villain. And they said it's very interesting. He said, but what a book really needs is conflict. There's got to be a conflict because that's what's going to keep you gripped because you're going to want to see the outcome. And a little bit like Calamity that I just played there. It's very much about we enjoy our lives, we have conflict, yet it's our response to conflict is what makes us who we are. So you can, along our lives here, we can have all sorts of experiences, and yet it's our response to conflict that is either going to go very, very well. It's going to maybe something that just gets put by the side for a while. Maybe we overcome it, but sometimes conflict, if we look at it as blocks, well, those blocks could become stepping stones. You never know.
Mm,
And I think it's,
100%.
yes,
100%.
yeah. And I think
And
it,
it comes down to that nature of being the observer,
yes,
you know, the observer of emotions. So to be the external observer, and yet, even when we do that, some people, as the observer, they're still not in a state of compassion. They're the observer, and they start judging themselves based on what they're observing. So then what we get to do is we get to be the observer of the observer. And we can extend this out and go as far out as we need
yeah,
until we get to the point where that observer goes, you know what? Yep, I get it. Someone's just broken your heart. It's okay to be sad.
yes,
You've just lost your job. It's okay to sit in that for a while. It's okay to feel a loss. You're nervous about the future. Yep, it's okay to sit in that for a little while. For as long as you need. But you also get to keep checking in because it's not healthy to stay there. No one can live in anxiety for long
no.
before it has ramifications,
Oh,
before the
yes,
body starts to manifest dis-ease.
yes,
And in exactly the same that emotions are messengers, It's what illness and disease is as well. They're just messengers.
From there.
So we can hate it, we can hate it, or we can listen to it. We can be open to what the message is. And we're not trained to do that. And in fact, in our society, there's even more languaging around that. And while I don't wish this on anybody, a great example is when people define themselves as a cancer sufferer. I'm a cancer sufferer. Okay, cool. Notice how that feels. It's not an empowering phrase, but some people get a sense of false empowerment out of it because it's an identity. They get some attention, they get sympathy, they get compassion. And for some people, that's like, I've never
Appreciate.
actually experienced compassion or love before. So that's actually kind of nice in a weird way. But notice how this feels, right? Cancer sufferer, reset. I'm on a health journey.
Wow.
What do I want? Do I want cancer? Do I want to suffer? Do I want health? And do I enjoy journeys?
This is beautiful. Guys,
And this is the thing, right? It's the same with lots of stuff that's going on in the world. Do I want to be anxious about a virus? Do I want to be told what to do? Do I want to be dictated to participate in an experiment? What do I want? Do I want to sit in fear? No. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want, Craig? Well, I don't want to be told what to do. Yeah, cool. But what do you want? I don't want to be told what to do. Yeah, but what do you want? I don't want to be told what to do. Stop bossing me around. Stop telling me what to do. Okay, so what do you want? Notice how I haven't got to the point yet. I'm still
absolutely.
just focusing on what I don't want.
Yes, we're very good at that.
Well, why? And that's the next step, right? Is okay, so that's my response. What do I get from my response? What is my response pointing me back towards? What flavor of love is absent that I would actually really like to express? Well, cool. Well, I don't want to be told what to do because I value freedom. Well, why do you value freedom? Well, it's liberating. I get to explore and experience. I get to be creative. I get to play. I get all sorts of new possibilities to be stimulated and entertained and to empower my soul and mature my soul through possibilities and opportunities instead of being just limited and pigeonholed or put in a rat cage or whatever else it is that I don't want to live in anxiety. What do I want? Well, I love joy. I love freedom. I love celebration. I love spirit. I love being in spirit. I love being inspired. I love pull forces that actually make me leap out of bed so that I'm on a call at 5 o'clock in the morning. You know, like, do you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning willingly to go to work? Most people are like, no, I'm pressing snooze 6 times because we don't want to go. It's a
Yeah,
push. It's a push. It's a
yes.
push. It's a push. It's a push. And what I'm going to point out here then is that a lot of people, for example, are fighting.
Okay.
This is something is wrong. I need to fight this. Cool. For fight to exist, we need resistance. Do you want resistance? Do you really actually want resistance? Is that what you want your life to be full of? No, but the reality is that there's all this stuff that's wrong. Okay, cool. But what's right? What is right? What do you want? What do you want? So I, for example, I don't go to protests. I go to gatherings of people who are expressing joy and love and freedom and connectedness
Yep.
and inspiration and playfulness and
Get that completely.
voice.
Yes. Guys, whilst we've got about 6 minutes left of the show, have any of you got any questions? This is such an intriguing show. I must admit, I feel super calm and I love this experience. And one of the things you said to me earlier on, and we're asking there, is what is it that you want, as we were saying earlier? And we're very good at saying what we don't want and then attract what we don't want. One of the best shows I've ever watched. Amazing energy. Oh, it's terrific. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Thank you very much, Vidya. And I answer this myself because if I don't ask about what do I want, well, I'm already on the journey of what I want, so I'm doing it. The part that I like here, that I like to experience of what I want and what I'm doing is feeling jollity and giving out jollity. That's what I want.
Mm,
That's what I do. And
mm,
if that brings me happiness, which 99% of the time it does, then I'm in a great place. I like it. That makes me right.
mm. It's scientifically known that 95% of what I do today, I did yesterday.
Okay.
It's just scientifically proven.
Okay.
And so all I need to do is just invite in a tiny little bit of difference. And here's the thing, another thing that supports this is that whenever we use the word think, the field, the energetic field of the heart is 5,000 times stronger than the energetic field of the mind,
Yes. Yes.
literally.
Yes.
And yet when we use words like think, I think, I think, I think, I think, it's nowhere near as potent as using the word I feel.
I feel. Yes.
But how to transcend this, here's the other factor to it, is that when we use the word think, most people don't realize we are actually accessing the computer program that is our brain. We're accessing our conditioning, we're accessing our experiences, we're accessing our self permissions, we're accessing what we believe. But the thing is that if we want to actually go beyond that, we get to enter theta brain pattern. And theta brain pattern is some of the phrases we've been talking about: joyous curiosity,
Yes.
wonder,
Yes.
play, creativity, exploration, opening up new possibilities. Well, I just use that word. I feel really crap today. Well, do I actually like that word crap? No, it's not even very descriptive. How is it that I feel? I'm really curious. What other words are coming through that are even better messages for how I feel right now? Oh,
Actually,
well, I feel a bit bored, or I feel a bit, well, cool. If you're bored, then what is boredom? Well, boredom is just, I'm just not inspired. I'm not in spirit. I'm not connected to spirit. Cool. What connects me to spirit? What do I love? Yeah, I'm going to bake a cake. I'm going to experiment with a recipe. Well, the recipe says this, but I'm going to add these extra
oh
ingredients and
yes.
spices up a bit.
I just
I'm going to go into nature and I'm going to go on a walk that I've never been on because it's going to bring novelty and variety. And I wonder what's around the next corner. And I wonder how I can play with this. And you know what? I'm going to do this bush walk backwards. I'm going to actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wear odd socks today. And I'm going to count every person that points it out. I'm going to get 1 point for that day.
I
I'm going
do.
to brush my
Yes.
teeth left-handed just to see what happens.
I
I'm going
don't.
to wear my shirt inside out. I'm going to wear my name badge upside down and just count how many people point it out or give me a weird look. And that's, oh, 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 10 points today. 10 people notice my badge upside down.
It's good, isn't
Harmless,
it? Yes.
fun, silly, playful,
It's
creative.
playful, jolly, and it's the youthfulness in our nature that brings out this. It's interesting what Media says. I want to figure out what I want. I feel there's so much more out there for me than I can ever imagine. For all of us, we just need to consciously choose.
And
I
play, media, and play. Wonder. I wonder. The fact that you've actually worked out what you want, that's the first step. Beautiful. We've put it out there to the universe. So the next step then is to actually ask for what we actually want, though. That's what you want, but then invite a response. The question's not inviting a response yet. I want something. So the next step, as I was saying, I'm really curious. What is it that I want? I would love to actually be shown more aspects of how I would love to live my life differently. How do I get to play in this? Well, you know what? Craig mentioned the word bliss. When was the last time I felt bliss? What brings me bliss? What curls my toes? What, lights up my face with joy? You know what? I'm going to go to a pet shop and just cuddle some pups. Because it's even better because I don't even have to buy them. I can just cuddle them and don't look after them, and then I can just go home.
no, I want to take. I would say it's interesting about our conversation tonight, and I think where Midia you're concerned, you said your last sentence, we just need to consciously choose. I would take consciously out of it, and I would say feel heart center in it.
Mm.
Put a heart in
And
it.
that's a beautiful response, Phil, as well. The power of conscious choice is that we're empowering it. We're energizing it because it's what we're thinking of.
Uh huh.
Like I said earlier, the game Don't See Red, I was actually energizing the word red. I was energizing the word red. If I want to see new possibilities, this is the thing, right? For media and for lots of us, we're living within a confine. We're living within a familiar zone of what kept us alive when we were 0 to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we're just trying to repeat that pattern.
Yeah.
We're just trying to repeat that pattern. What we're actually looking for, though, is we realize that this pattern is not stimulating or maturing or expanding my soul in this existence. What will do that? Csikszentmihalyi, peak flow experience. He worked out that it's something like, I can't remember the exact figure, but it's something like if we try to operate at 103 or a 104% or 105 or 106, it's no more than 106%. It's that tiny little bit of resistance that creates growth. If it's too much, if we aim for 110%, if we raise the bar 10%, it might be too hard. We might just fail, 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 fail.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if we actually just increase the resistance a little bit, I wonder. I don't have to all of a sudden be speaking tongues or be speaking light language or be communicating with galactic beings or have 57 angels behind me to be spiritual or to be in spirit. But I could just sit in wonder just for one moment, I wonder what new words I could use that might help describe some sort of new possibility today. And just be open to one new word coming through, or to
Yeah.
explore 2 or 3 new words, or words that we haven't used before but we've heard before. And they just get to pop in and, you know what? Yeah, bliss,
Yes. And write
fun,
those down. Write them down and put them on post-it
fun.
notes and stick them around your
Exactly.
inside your
And
wardrobe, wherever.
as Media said, so what I've done there, what I've just modeled is how do I get to expand my existence and my living? How do I get to live my living just that little bit more today? And by attaching a consciousness to it, I get to energize that possibility.
Yes. Rise of the Superman helps getting in the flow of
Yep.
AKA bliss. Yeah, lovely. Wow, Craig, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show and one of the most calmest, blissful shows I think I've ever experienced. I'm just going to float out of here, out of the studio. It looks like the Camelot studio, but I just want to say thank you so much for joining us, and we so appreciated your lovely thoughts, your words, your existence, your experience, and your conversations. It was beautiful.
Can we take another couple of moments? I know I'm conscious of the time,
That's all right.
but
Yes.
here's a really great experience. This is what I talk about with quantum empowerment
Okay.
and conscious empowerment.
I can see another show
So
coming.
will you express, for example, that this felt really calm?
Yes.
What did that calmness bring to your world in this moment?
A feeling that mirrored it.
Yes. And so now that you've consciously recognized that you feel different, what does that recognition bring to your world right in this instant?
A feeling that everything is in place where it needs to be.
A knowing. So we've gone from calmness to knowing. And how beautiful is it to realize that you know that you feel calm?
It's a beautiful feeling.
So we've gone from calmness to appreciation to a knowing surety to beauty, which is just an expression of love. Notice how we're playing with this.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
this is
Yes.
how we can then actually biohack this as well and use our human physiology and our vagus nervous system. If you don't know what the vagus nervous system is, look it up.
Yeah.
Super powerful.
Yeah.
And this is the way we get to do it. How does it feel in that calmness feel? How does it feel in that beauty? And everyone at home can do this. And however you feel having watched this, whether you had an aha moment, whether you had a curious question, whether you're feeling an inspiration to have a little bit more fun, whatever it is, just consciously hold that thought. This is how we use our thoughts for power and empowerment. We just get to feel it in, breathe it in, and let that breath hold that feeling. And then when we exhale, we just get to know consciously that that is what we are radiating.
And a lot of people in the world would just find, a lot of people would find this very difficult to, they love it, but they take quite a while to understand it and
And
to
you know what?
believe
I'm
it.
going to stop you. I'm going to stop you right there,
Okay.
and I'm going to point out that that is a belief that I don't want to feed.
Yeah, that's right. Neither do I.
What I would love to feed is that how simple is it to actually get hold of the idea of something that you love and just breathe in and feel that for a moment?
And I think that's the important part about this.
How easy is that?
Very easy.
How many
Extreme.
millions and billions of people around the world could actually do that with ease and grace and wonder and fascination and empowerment? And how much could that actually expand everything for everyone?
I'll tell you what, I think it's not something you would consciously think. It's an experience that comes to you and then comes
Because
inside
we
you.
haven't been trained, we
Yes.
haven't been programmed,
Yes.
but we get to be. And it's a concept that's so easy to pick up,
Yep.
and we get to realize where we're in resistance to that. Oh, okay, so that's not a part of my program. Do I want it to be? Yes or no? You know, it actually felt really good. Do I want my life to be full of more goodness? Yes or no? No, no. Take me back to the old way where I've got to problem solve everything with my mind and beat myself up constantly and worry and be in anxiety. And actually, you know what? I just love feeling good. I'm going to let my heart decide. I'm going to let my heart of hearts decide, not my wounded heart. I'm not going to let my old limits that say no, 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 hard, 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 difficult, 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 difficult. I'm going to say, well, that's shit. I like life being easy and beautiful.
Yeah.
I wonder how my life gets to be more easy and beautiful today. What wonder can I find? How beautiful can I? You know what? The pattern there on that fabric is amazing. You know what? The way the light is just catching that through the window is just
Beautiful.
the oh, that was an interesting flavour in that
Yeah.
piece of food that I just.
And a
You know
lot of
what?
this,
I
it's
even
so
felt your
interesting.
breath just then.
Yeah.
When you just had that beautiful breath, that beautiful sigh of relief, I felt that.
Yeah. It
Ah,
is. It's
that
a lovely.
sigh of belief
Yeah.
was beautiful and wondrous.
Yes. I agree
Mm.
with you. Sarah says, I agree with that, Mindy. I found out sometimes you just need to stop trying to understand and suddenly you will. Oh,
Switch off
beautiful.
the mind. And this is a concept, right? Sometimes what I invite people to do, instead of listening to me, for example, with their mind, listen to me with your heart.
Absolutely.
Listen to me with your heart of hearts. Listen
Yeah.
to me with the spark of light within your heart. Listen to me with your DNA. Ooh, listen to me with your soul. Allow your
Oh,
soul to have ease.
oh,
Notice how, look, I only had to introduce the concept and notice that you
yes,
had a physiological response.
yes,
This is what I'm talking about.
yes. Beautiful, beautiful. Craig, we're going to leave it there and just say thank you so, so much. We are so grateful to you coming on the show, and everybody who's joined in tonight has just been, I think, wide eyed, very relaxed, very calm, and now very curious.
Mm.
Nabila says, "Thank you, so helpful." There we go. Love is a beautiful thing to experience all the different values of love and the experiences of love and how we can look at things so curiously, so differently, and yet acceptantly is beautiful. Like I say, we please give our love to all your friends and family down there in Queensland, and we wish you a very lovely remainder to your summer. And we'll catch up with you very soon. And guys, as Deborah, the producer, was saying here, Craig has written lots of poetry in the Cafe Clairvoyance group. Is there? Boomers come watch. And Craig, we'd love to invite you back onto the show another time, if that's okay with you.
More than happy.
Wonderful. What a friend to the show. What a friend. I feel the energy. You're over there on the side of the world, and yet the energy is here. It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, stay on.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, stay on just after.